Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now offering our Quarter 2 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Fight Ramen. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after 2 long weeks of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast, Office Hours, featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
Hello.
And Michael Rance.
Look how they massacred my girl.
And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Just want to say thank you all so much for being here. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting us and haven't already, you can click that join button down below to join as a student here at Ruler School. It's the easiest way to support us financially, but also we just really appreciate you being here, subscribing, and sending out our videos to the people who you know who might like Force of Will. You can also check out links in the description to get pre-orders in for Thoth of the Trinity, and orders at this point in time for Quarter 2 circuit kits are closed. That order has been placed, and so hopefully those will be sending out to stores here shortly. So information on Quarter 3 will be coming soon. Probably doing something off of Trinity Cluster for that. We'll see what happens. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Mainly we got 2 weeks worth of spoilers because we didn't talk about anything leading up to post-GP. And we got a crazy video today, both with new cards and with erratas leading to unbans, which is very exciting. But let's get started and talk about these the starter deck for Yokoshima Hanada. So we have Mana 2, some mana counters coming back here. Ancient Magic Chance in your hand or graveyard gain quick cast. Ancient Magic Chance or Ancient Magic Resonators you control gain as an additional cost to play them. You can remove a mana counter, and if you do, discount their cost by 1. Cards with Remnant also gain that same ability to be able to play, but only for 1 void less. This means if you had an Ancient Magic card with Remnant, it then can be cost reduced by 2, 1 colorless and 1 colored. And at the end of every turn, you put a mana counter on this card, Judgments for green, red. And then the boy flips over into Monarch of Exploding Flame, imperishable with barrier blue white, 8/12. If you play 8 Ancient Magic Chance, you awaken it as if you paid Will for the awakening cost, which is crazy. Enter, and whenever this card attacks, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field rested. Only triggers once per turn. You can pay red to give an Ancient Magic you control in your graveyard gains. You may play this card from your graveyard without paying its cost. If you do, expel it as it leaves the chase until end of turn. You can only use that ability once per turn. So essentially, even if it didn't have Remnant, you can just play it for free with Remnant as if it had Remnant. And then for 2 red, you can cancel target or copy target spell. Chance spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Use this ability only once per turn. Big mana deck. Go big mana boom. Can't discount anything on the backside, though, outside of making 1 Ancient Magic a turn for free. So, thoughts about Ancient Magics coming back, boys?
I am going to cheat 3 Captain Hook into play with this card, and nobody is going to stop me.
Sure.
That's all I got.
I appreciate that they are exploring old mechanics, which means, at least for me, that we can expect some of these things to come back in a meaningful way, potentially into Pilgrim Memories going forward. So the implications of the card are more interesting to me than the actual card itself.
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with Shunpo earlier today, in that this card is going to remind people how the chase works, and is not actually. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it certainly falls into a similar trap as we've seen before with double cast chance before. Which is that this happened a lot with the Welser, the Primogenitor Welser that doubled a chant that was cast every turn, is the fact that this guy specifically is almost ironically worse than that Welser, because Welser like always triggered, whereas this guy, if you cast a chant and then don't, like if I'm casting a chant, right, and then don't immediately hold priority to try to clone it, and it's not something that my opponent cares about, my opponent will just let the spell resolve, and I won't have the ability to copy it. Because that's how the chase works. Whereas if I do try to proactively copy it, then I have to pass priority to my opponent, and if they cancel the thing I'm trying to copy, then I can't actually copy it, and then the both abilities fizzle, and I feel bad. Just something to think about as you're playing against this deck. Also, don't cheats at 4 in the sideboard if this guy gets good. Just immediately don't cheats at 4 in the sideboard if this guy gets good.
Which there's a card that might make him good.
Yeah, there are
later
some.
On in this list.
Yeah, there are some pretty strong cards. Like, I think it's a cool mechanic. I think it's cool to have this kind of ancient magic stuff be re-explored and revisited, similarly to how the treasures were with Lehen. It's pretty neat. I like this guy. I think it's perfectly fine for a starter deck. It's not too complicated. It has some big finish to it. It's structural. He has natural barrier. And the other nice thing is he does have an ancient magic that's a cancel, but if you're playing starter versus starter, that card is not going to suddenly break the starter versus starter match because so much of the cards in the Lehen starter have untouchable, right? Which I think was arguably good starter deck design, that you're like, we gave him a cancel so you can experiment and understand what the mechanics of canceling in this game are. But if you just start playing starter versus starter, it's not just going to be like, well, you drew 4 of the cancel. How I even play a card? You know what I mean? Because so much of the Lehen deck has untouchable, which I think is nice structure-wise.
Yeah.
So, also glad we have stones that have Eternal. So that World Flame Summoning can't destroy them. Although World Flame Summoning is banished, isn't it? Oh, that's rough. Going into more of his starter deck stuff. I'm not going to go into the reprints for his starter because that's not super relevant. We do see that the big Invitation to Disaster, which is the burn 2,800 damage, or if it's awakened 2,000 damage, is in the starter. Although it did get a buff in the fact that it can now hit J rulers as opposed to just resonators. It was originally just resonators or rulers or players. Functionally the same. And also Ancient Heartfelt Fire also got reprinted in the set, which is kind of an obvious choice for the mana counter red deck. So we have Beetle Gimmick of Aradia, Ancient Beast, 2/2. Beast J/Resonators you control gain precision as long as you control another Beast Resonator. Discard a card, put a mana counter on a J ruler you control, and 2+1/+1 counters on this card, only usable during main timing. And we also have the idea of Call of the Monarchs. Green, pay this card from your graveyard into the field, rested. Play this ability only once during each player's main phase, or only during each player's main phase, only one Call of the Monarchs ability per turn, and only if it's in your graveyard. So essentially, with Call of the Monarchs, during each player's main phase, you will be able to pay into reanimating one thing that has this ability in the graveyard per turn, which is neat. It's a cool idea. Certainly seeing these gimmicks certainly are going to function similarly to like slivers in Magic, where like it's a race given thing that all kind of give other things of the same race a bunch of different abilities, so they stack on top of each other. It's not bad. We got Staff of the Niflheim. 2-cost Ancient Magic, so it'll have quick cast for him. Target J/Resonator you control and target J/Resonator your opponent controls deal damage to their attack to each other. If a Resonator is destroyed this way, you mill 2 cards, which he wants to do because he wants Remnant and stuff in his graveyard. Nothing to shake a stick at. Please interrupt me if there's anything specific about these things that you want to say, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Shake a stick at because it's staff.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I got nothing to say. It's literally just a fight card that mills. Like,
Yeah.
this is starter deck.
Yeah, it's very much
There
so.
are 2 cards we're talking about as far as I'm concerned.
Next up, we have the old hand gimmick of Aradia. This is one of the 2 cards that's worth talking about, in my opinion. 2 red, 2 green, Ancient Beast Chimera. New Chimera for Fox. It's pretty good. Attacking doesn't cause this card to rest. This card can attack up to 3 times during your main phase. Whenever this card attacks, choose 1. Choose each option only twice per turn. And you get 2+1/+1 counters on this card every single time it attacks. Destroy up to 1 target resonator your opponent controls. Put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field. That's not rested. It just comes into the field. And destroy up to 1 target addition or regalia your opponent controls. And it has Call of the Monarch for 1 cheaper. This card is very good.
I cannot wait to make this in my Fox deck and then bring it back with Call of the Monarch and then use it as fodder for another Chimera.
Have I realized that this Chimera has half of the abilities of the Chimeras? No, I'm well aware. I'm very well aware.
I get it. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's true. I like it. It doesn't have the discard though. I can't Manticore you with this card, but I can Amit or Griffin you, which is just fine. IU turn 2, ramp 2 stones easy. How is this guy getting? How is IU getting into the field on turn 2? I mean, I get the discard. I get the disc. Is it turn 2 on the coin? Discard this card off of IU effect on your opponent's main phase. Do stone plus coin. You'd have to during your main. It'd be, I don't know. Even on coin, it'd be turn 2 into play rested because of how Call of the Monarchs works. I don't know. Hero Reincarnation, old hand? That might be. Oh, discard this, Hero Incarnation into Precious Call to Action. That's funny. Because it is a beast.
It is, in fact, a beast.
It's just Min. It's just Min doing Min things. That's
Mr.
fine.
Beast.
I see you, Min. I see you.
Yeah, this card's very cool. This card is very, very cool. I mean, like, if Lilius Petal ever gets a partner so that he can, like, Judgment without having to worry about calling Stone, like, this card is well worth making out of a Killing Stone. Like, it's very, very good.
Very much. Because the way it reads, and if this is wrong, let me know. Choose 1, choose each option only twice per turn. So I can just choose to put 2 Magic Stones in.
Yeah, once you attack twice. Yep.
Yeah. Or destroy 2 Resonators, or destroy 2 additions and or Regalia.
Or
any
two,
combination.
or ramp 2 and destroy something.
Yeah.
Right, because you get to attack 3 times. It's very,
I like this
very neat.
artwork. I'm glad we've never seen it before.
It's okay. It's fine. Next up, we have Spider Gimmick of Aradia. 2 red, Ancient Beast. Beast J Resonators you control gain Belligerence as long as you control another Beast Resonator. Discard a card. Until end of turn, players cannot gain life and damage cannot be prevented. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this card. Only during main timing, only once per turn. And it has Call of the Monarch. It's a starter deck card.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Hey, means that the star decks can beat Tree. And ain't that just something?
Heyo. Next up we have Sympathy of Fire and Wind. 1 red, 1 green Ancient Magic with Quick Cast and Remnant. Choose 1. This card deals 800 damage to up to 2 target players or J/Resonators. Choose this option only if you play it from hand. Or search your Magic Stone deck for a Magic Stone and put it into the field rested. Then shuffle your Magic Stone deck. Choose this option only if you play this card from a zone other than your hand. Like from the graveyard.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This card's very good for your This card is very good for Hamada because he'll be able to like make this a 1-drop, right? Both modes of it will essentially make it into a 1-drop. So very, very good.
Good retro support too.
Yeah, it is cool.
Quick cast.
Yep.
So you can just like dump your mana if you're playing Alhamad on your opponent's turn and just ramp a stone going in, and then you have that. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, this card's very cool.
I
like
can
it.
turbo into Alhamad again.
You could if you wanted to do that. Yes.
Could if I wanted to do that. That's pretty good.
You can do all kinds of stuff. It's ancient magic.
It's not good, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a cool starter deck so far. Next up we have Breaking the Chains. This spell is very weird to me. 1 green, 1 red, 2 void, remnant ancient magic. Means that for him, he can make this a 2-drop. You may play only one spell named Breaking the Chains per turn. Choose 2 if this card was awakened, which means a 5-drop or a 3-drop for him. You can choose up to 3 and copy the spell instead. You may choose new targets for the copy. Destroy target magic stone you control. If you do destroy target magic stone your opponent controls, your opponent may search their magic stone deck for a magic stone with a magic stone with a magic stone type and put it into the field rested. If they do, shuffle their magic stone deck and remove a card in your hand from the game, or put a magic stone from your graveyard into the field rested. It doesn't say target, so that's important to note, that if you destroy one of your own stones in the bottom, like in the beginning, you can then use the second mode to like buy it back, right? So you can replace it. This whole thing about search for a magic stone with a magic stone type, like, is that specifically referring to like a wind magic stone? Like, it has to specifically say a wind magic stone? Can it say
instead of being just like any special magic stone?
Can it be does special magic stone count as a magic stone type? Right? That's the question for me. Because like if it does specifically, so here's the interesting thing. If it does make it so that you have to have a stone that actually has treat this card as a wind magic stone, or it is a wind magic stone or something like that, like that you can't just search for any special magic stone, then stone bases are about to change dramatically. Because
I think that makes the card good.
If you don't have a stone to search for, this is just him going +1 on stones. Potentially more. Which outside of Grim Cluster with Pure Heartstone, you don't want to have happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
This text feels like AI generated text on this card. I don't know how to describe it, but just the fact that like one of the options is remove a card in your hand for the game, it just feels like Robo Rosewater. If anybody's here familiar with like the AI generated magic text.
Wall of Terror is good against this card? Yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah, Wall of Terror is crazy good against this card.
But I actually wait a minute, because it does target. Yeah, so yes, for sure. It does. That is good. Wall of Terror would be really good at some of his Resonators, say if they are removed by a Remnant card, they come into the field. Yeah, so if you remove a Resonator from your hands, it'll then immediately get reanimated, because this is technically a card with Remnant, even though Remnant's not what's allowing you to cast it. So that might be the mode. I mean, outside of whatever his name is, this card is Yokoshima. This card's unplayable. In Yokoshima, pretty good.
Jeremy, how can you forget his name? It's literally in capital letters in his card.
I know. I looked at the flavor text of this card and then went, "Oh, that's his name." Yeah. What's
his name? Oh.
Within the context of the starter deck, this is a good card. Like for Yokoshima, this will be a decent card. Outside of Yokoshima, unplayable. But like, fine. Let's make starter deck rulers have a fun. Like, let's make starter deck rulers have applications outside of just the starter deck.
Wow, you could remove a Brad from your head for the game and then get it back at the end of your...
Why would I pick that as a mode? Also, Brad banned.
I know.
Yeah, because Yokoshima can give this card quick cast. That's what I'm saying. Like that, the reason why this card is even remotely playable in Yokoshima is because he gives it quick cast. So that's it.
How do you pronounce his true self? Dimes. It's in the flavor text, Jeremy.
I don't know. I can't read the flavor text. It's so tiny because of what I have.
Nice.
How I mainly because of how I have XSplit open, right?
Thanks, XSplit. Very nice.
Dines. Yeah.
Dines.
Dines.
Next up, we have Vulture Gimmick of Aradia. 3-cost Ancient Beast. 7/5. Beast J Resonators you control gain flying. So again, that sliver mechanic. Enter it, deals X 100 damage to target player or J/Resonator, where X is the combined number of beasts you control in public zones. Meaning field, graveyard, or RFG.
Oh, this is going to be funny.
It doesn't even say Beast Resonators, by the way. It says Beast Cards. So, like, chance.
So you can just toss your J ruler into the. Oh, okay. Never.
And then it has Call of the Monarchs. Call of the Monarchs for 2. So.
All right, so hear me out.
I'm listening.
This is going to be a Minha play, if I've ever seen one. In
Minha's in the chat, so if Minha disagrees with you, you have to leave.
That's fair. So what I think he's going to do, Min, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to play a card that lets you stack the Vulture on the bottom of your deck. Turn 2, call Vulture with IU. RFG the entire deck. It's all beasts. It's all beasts with different names.
How did we
play
judge?
The Vulture, kill your opponent.
Okay, so we had to Judgment IU in this scenario on turn 2, and still have 3 will to cast Vulture Gimmick.
This might be turn 3.
I think we're talking turn 4. You're talking 5 will here.
This is another card that does this in fact. Hang on, I'm gonna look into this.
Sure.
I know something. I know there's a Maribel or something.
Traveler in Wonderland called Beast. Ugh. Gross.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one a lot.
That's funny. Cool stuff though. I mean, this I look forward to recording. In looking at these 2 decks, I look very much forward to recording the starter deck versus starter deck match because I feel like having seen all the cards, it does feel like they're going to be evenly matched and play very differently, but also still play very fun. Which I think as a not having starter decks for over a year is nice to see that that's what's coming back into it. Both rulers look very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know this card exists.
Okay, let's go into main set stuff. The beginning of the main set spoilers started with Helen and the Road to the Sacred Number, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So Helen, Witch of the Ruins, finalized text on the front. Players cannot move cards to pay cost. Witch gains treasure and all attributes if they're revealed from your deck by an exploration effect, or while they're in your removed area and were removed by an exploration effect. Pay 0 to exploration 2. Play this ability only once per turn. This means that she just gets a free exploration during your opponent's turn. Lehen burned a card to do exploration during your opponent's turn. But the difference is Helen is exploration just 2, so she can't look at exploration X, right? She can only look at the top 2 cards. And she can't double reveal like Lehen could. Judgment for 0. Play this judgment process only if you control a card named Remnants of the Ruins and 3 or more not witch resonators with different names are in a removed area that were removed by an exploration or effect to your control. So you have to hit a multitude of witches in order to be able to flip her over. Flips over to Road to the Sacred Number, or the Perfect Number. 0, 1800 with Eternal. Sets your maximum life total to 5,000. If you would lose or pay life due to the ability of an effect other than this card's, so it functions now and not killing yourself, or a source you control deals damage to you, source you control deals damage to you, the life is reduced by double that much. So your opponent can't double hit you. You're only double hitting yourself. At the beginning of the end phase, check if X is even or odd, where X is your life divided by 100. If it's even, your life becomes your current life divided by 2. If it becomes 100 this way, you win the game. Odd, your life becomes your current life total multiplied by 3 plus 100. And you can remove up to a rune counter from this card from a card in your removed area to prevent the next damage that would be dealt to you this turn. Math the deck. Just math the deck. Math.deck. I think this is cool. Like, I look forward to playing it. And now that we've seen all the witches, I actually think there might be something here, which is pretty neat. Also, one of the cards that was errataed, that is coming off the ban list, also plays heavily into this deck's ability to manipulate its own life total, because that's what it wants to do. Sealed one-eyed dragon. So just keep that in mind. This is pretty cool. I like this idea, as it feels very like something we've never seen before. It feels very like this is what a ruler identity of traditional FOW should feel like. Survivability of this deck seems insane. Like, I don't know. It feels like this deck is going to be very hard to kill. If it wants to not die, it will not die. So that's interesting to me.
Oh, the Jeremy, I figured it out.
Okay, I'm listening.
Excavation of a Legacy was the card I was thinking of.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
And then you just, beginning of turn 3, you used your untapped will. Do that. And then
there you go.
And then you kill them.
There you go.
Figured it out.
But you can do that in any deck.
I'm not talking about this card anymore. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be IU. Which means it doesn't have to be a min-hop play.
This is true. That's kind of
sad. You're fearing Yokoshima turbo bomb, like bombs, like the actual bomb. Cool. Let's bring the bomb token back. That's pretty neat. That was cool. I liked playing Mars bomb, blow stuff up. It was pretty fun. Or soul bombs. It's pretty fun.
Bombastic.
I have all the bomb tokens. I know exactly where they are. I can get them back out.
I also have all mine still.
So that'll be fun. So let's talk about this Ruins card. Remnants of the Ruin. 1 void chant treasure relic. Search your deck for a witch card of total cost 1, put it into the field, then shuffle your deck. If you put a card with Trinity into the field this way, stack this card face down below that card, so it helps them get towards Trinity. When this card is removed from the game by an exploration effect you control, you may remove all witch resonators you control and all cards stacked below them from the game face up. Put a ruin counter on this card for each entity removed this way, and then this card gains the following ability as long as it is in your removed area. Remove a ruin counter from this card, put a witch card that was total cost 1 or less in your removed area into the field, play this ability only once per turn. So essentially, you suck up all the witches, put them in a box, and then just start taking them out of the box.
Bad witches get sent to the ruin queue.
Yeah, witch tribal. I joked about the fact that, as we're about to see, all 5 of the witches are white witches, like light attribute. So the funny thing is that back in Saga Cluster, we got this suite of stacks witches for every color but white, and we were like, "Where's the light witches at?" And then found them. They were all 2 clusters away. 5 of them. Yes, where the white witches at? Yes, I know what I said.
No,
I know what I said. It was intentional. It was intentional. Where the white witch is at? I said it. It was intentional.
Very good. You know what's gonna make me really upset? You know that whole joke about like how the way to make people upset is to release 3 pigs into the wild, numbered 1, 2, and 4.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe these witches are giving me, being numbers 12, 9. Oh, at least we got 6 and 9. Like that part, at least they were nice to me. And then 4 and 5, and then that's all 5 of them we got.
Yeah, we got Hate Witches deck instead of Hate Bears. Yep, that is what this is coming forward to being for sure, which I think is pretty neat. Speaking of the witches, we also got, I'm trying to go in order here. We got Ivory Tower, the Laboratory of Witches. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 void edition with Mythic. When this card is revealed by an exploration ability you control, you may play it without paying its cost. Whenever you play an activate ability of a Witch J ruler you control, copy that ability. You can choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only during your turn and only once per turn. Essentially, this means that if you explore on your turn after you hit this, you can technically be exploring twice, so you could dig a little bit deeper. Tap to target resonator you control gains plus X100 attack until end of turn, where X is the number of witch resonators you control. Witch tribal. Witch tribal, witch tribal, witch tribal. I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
This will speak to as we get into this, it becomes very apparent to me that, and thus makes me curious what we're going to see out of whatever ruler is intersecting with Yokoshima, that the starter decks are designed to be a ruler that could serve just purely on their own, but have some form of overlap with a mechanic in the main set, right? Like, Helen is treasures. Like, she's exploration, but she's treasures, right? Like, that's kind of her whole shtick. Helen is exploration, but she's not really treasures. She's witches instead. And she's playing something very different than Helen is with, like, what she's doing with exploration. And so if we see something similar to that with Yokoshima, however that branches out, I think that's a really good way to do starter decks, because then it's like, oh, well, I'm buying something that can just be its own standalone thing, even if I never buy the rest of the set. But also, if I like this mechanic, I can go explore the new set and try something similar mechanically, but also trying something different, which is, like, I think a perfect on-ramp in that sense. But the starter deck itself has its own kind of core identity that fits very much in, like, FOW's structure. So you don't really have to go. You could go look at Celesta stuff instead if the treasures are what you're enjoying more than the exploration manipulation, which I think is really cool. And makes me curious to see what we're going to see, where the overlap will be with Yokoshima as well.
Anyway, I don't know if it's pissing you guys off either, but that flavor text needs a question mark in it.
For the Ivory Tower?
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, I appreciate your... Hey, yo, Helen, what are you doing with that jar full of witches? Oh, God! Just so many witches.
Bad witches get put into the containment cube.
Yeah, they get put into the cube. Speaking of witches, let's talk about the witches. Witch of the Tower number 5. Witch human. Resonators of total cost 1 or less enter the field arrested. Keep in mind that's both sides. All of these witches have some kind of stack effect, and it does hit both players. You're welcome, Jordan. Enter if you control a Rogue J Ruler Exploration 1. Nice little contingency of continuing to help them dig. Pay 0, reveal the bottom card of your deck. If it's a light card, stack it face down below this card. Play this ability only once per turn, which means during both players' turns. And Trinity, you can tap and expel a Wind Resonator in your removed area. Target Resonator gains +4/+4 until end of turn. Or expel 3 cards stacked below this card. If you do, cancel target activate or automatic ability. So you can burn the Trinity ability to cancel something. It's all right.
Laura died for this. It's fine. Laura's still alive, but Laura died for this.
Yeah, it's certainly neat. I'm curious, and I get why they're doing it. I understand why we're seeing so much of it. There's so much expel in this set. Just like put back directly in deck box. You know what I mean? Or like send to the same area as where, which is why I'm glad I have my like outside the game section of my ruler school playmat where like we put like Shiva and Rogue Spectator, because they are different from RFG, and we are going to be putting things in that space a lot more. Like a lot more.
Take it from the RFG zone and put it into the absolutely freaking removed from
for sure. Put directly back in deck box. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
It makes me curious if we might
Just
see.
eat the card.
It makes me wonder if we might see cards like things like Decay of the Machines start to like get played by decks to be able to recycle cards that they are expelling themselves. It also
I'm sorry,
makes
what?
yeah, Decay of the Machines. You can put 3 cards that were actually revealed outside the game and put them back into a graveyard. It also makes me wonder if
Oh my god, that counts.
it also makes me wonder if Helen might might legitimately play Drywing. Because if you take Drywing from the RFG and expel it, he's revealed outside the game, so you can make your opponent not able to produce will from non-will sources.
Stop. This
How
is the worst
Drywing's
thing.
worded?
As long as this card is revealed outside the game, which counts as expel, because expel is a zone where they're revealed and are outside of the game. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in my entire life, Jeremy. I hope you're aware of this.
Drywing back. Drywing mainboard back. Yay!
I am going to throw myself into the sea.
Decay your own mirrors so that you can rebuy back the mirrors. That's pretty interesting as well. Things that are expelled are considered revealed. Yes, for sure. Yep, they are considered revealed.
So, okay. So
and it's a public zone, which means it counts for Olympians, which is hilarious.
Shut up. Anyway, so Jeremy,
I'm listening. I'm listening.
With which of the tower number 5?
Got it.
Are you going to be playing this in Fox to remove your chimeras from the game to give things buffs, and then the chimera is now outside of the game revealed,
so I can buy them back?
This is the worst.
Speaking my language. Speaking my language.
This is not good. This is not good.
I do have to like successfully stack 3 cards underneath this card to be able to do that, though, right? So like,
That'll be fine. Yeah, you're good.
That's what I'm saying. Like the idea of like using this card to set the idea of using this card to RFG Drywing to turn off your opponent's stones is like the amount of steps that we would have to get to be able to do that is not worth the time that we would be doing to do that. It's silly that we can do it. I think the most I think the most things that we could get into here is the idea specifically of severing winds, which we'll talk about later. Expelling a wind card from your hand to pay its alternate cost if you have a Wanderer J Ruler, which means Reflected Refrain could like expel a Drywing to pay for a Severing Winds to have Drywing buffed. But like again, I don't even know if that's good.
It's
you know what I mean?
Not.
It's like because then I have to be main decking Drywing in a Reflect Refrain deck. Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Oh, it's not a public zone. It's only a revealed zone, so it wouldn't count for Union 7. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Whoa. Oh no, Union 7 is now nerfed. I'm gonna cry.
Let's talk about some more witches, shall we? We have witch number 4.
Number 4.
This is
number 4.
Enter if you control a Rogue J Ruler Exploration 2. You does that same thing. If you hit a light card on the bottom of your deck, you can stack it. You can expel a light resonator in your removed area to target non-magic stone, non-J Ruler entity loses all abilities until end of turn. And you can target a resonator you control, stack 3 cards stacked face down below this card to the chosen target. So you can shift her 3 cards to somebody else, which also just is like helping you ramp to Trinity, essentially, off of this card. One thing to note is that we do know that Helen specifically gives all of your treasures and witches in the RFG all attributes, which is why these expel a whatever attribute resonator in your removed area for the witches is not really that big of a deal, right? Because they'll just be whatever color you need it to be. So there's a real chance that this deck is like mono white, so that you always get to explore and hit white cards.
Soul coming back, baby. Let's go.
You can't
Anyway,
decide if being revealed outside the game is a zone or not.
I'll let the CR decide for me. It's Union 7. The deck already has enough ways to get to Union 7 fast. I'm not really caring. Next up, we have an insatiable desire for knowledge, not treasure, knowledge. One one white addition with Mythic. When this card is revealed, you can play it without paying its cost. Tap which J resonators you control gain +2/+2 for every card stacked below it until end of turn. If you control a resonator that has achieved resonator or trinity, you draw a card. So your witches get buff, and if one of them has successfully stacked 3 cards under it, when you tap it, you draw a card. Pretty good. Pretty good super for the deck.
That's a board wide buff. That's pretty decent.
Union 7 counts because it says and revealed outside the game. Outside the game is not a zone. Got it. Thanks, Patrick. I got to the bottom of it.
Very good. I love
We did it.
these very simple and not complicated rulings at all.
That won't really matter to the sake of these cards as printed. It's just us trying to be dumb. Witch of the Tower number 6.
Which is usual, yeah.
This is a witch devil, not a witch human. +1/+1 counters everywhere become 0/0 counters. If you control a rogue exploration 1, pay 0, reveal the top card. This thing. Trinity, expel a darkness resonator, put 2 -1/-1 counters on target resonator, or expel 3 cards to destroy target resonator. Pretty good.
You know something wild?
Go for it.
This is the first devil resonator. We've only had demons, not devils.
Are you sure?
Devils.
I literally just looked it up on Force of Wind. Go ahead.
I'm going to.
We've had cards that have devil in their name, but I think you're right that this is the first devil race.
Go ahead, Paul. Tell me. What'd you find?
There's like 20.
Moving on. Next up, we have
Stop gaslamping me.
Next up, we have the Beast encounter, because it's a math equation that I'm not going to try to pronounce. You pay 1 white or 1 red less rather than pay this card's cost if you control a Witch J/Ruler or a Lycanthrope J/Ruler. So good for Leica or for Helen. Technically also good for Lucy, I think, because she also counts as a witch. Choose a race, reveal the top 6 cards of your deck, put a resonator of total cost 1 of the race from among them into the field, then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This honestly also feels insanely good for Helen because you'll be able to immediately stack a light card on the bottom of your deck. So you'll always be able to immediately stack one onto the witch that you just grabbed. This card feels like a 4 of in Helen decks for just being able to churn out consistency. And it's also pretty good for Leica too, because as we'll see later, a lot of her stuff that she wants to grab is a beast of cost 1. So pretty good.
I know how to pronounce this card's name. These nuts.
Okay, moving right along.
Got it.
Next up, we have the first Marvel Rare reveal, Proto-Paterpolis. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yep, that's it.
World of Thaumaturgies. I'm just call it Thaumaturgy Land. Quick cast Mythic. You may pay 1 void less to play this card for each different Magic Stone type among entities you control. If you control a J ruler with Lehen or Helen in its name, you pay 2 less to play this card instead. This card gains the following abilities as long as you don't control another card named whatever. So makes sense because it's Mythic. But it also is designed so that you can't cycle these and then just get the enter effect and then sack one, which I think is honestly good card design. Enter, remove target non-Magic Stone, non-J ruler entity from the game. At the end of turn, gain X 100 life, where X is the number of different Magic Stone types among entities you control. If X is 4 or more, expel this card. So if you get 2 mana greedy, you lose it.
Card seems really bad.
I think I kind of would have swapped the rarity of this one and the tower.
Card seems really bad.
I
don't think this card's good.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, this card's fine.
I don't want to know why it's a Marvel, I guess, is my biggest thing.
It's also literally just the tower from another angle.
Like, I suppose there's a world. I suppose there's a world where this card becomes a one cost. Like, maybe there's a world where you want it to be expelled so that you can then use it again, right? And it's like remove something for sure, but it's like non-resonator. Like, it doesn't hit. I don't know. This card's weird to me.
This card is bad.
Really overcosted removal spell.
Yeah.
And also, nobody's pronouncing this, and nobody's spelling it on their deck list. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Protopateropolis.
Protopateropolis. There we go.
World of Thaumaturgies.
Thaumaturgies. That's an easy
It's
one.
an alchemy reference.
Yeah. Thaumaturgical.
I know.
Anyway,
I played D&D.
Witch of the
I've
Tower,
done
number 9. Battle damage cannot be prevented. Sucks to suck, Dark Tree.
You're right, nerd.
It's just absolute. What if we printed a 1-drop that just made Tree completely invalid? Great.
Never look back.
This card's text is literally just "fuck you."
Like, it's so funny to me. We're like, oh man, Dark Tree's such a problem, but it's probably not good enough to ban because no one ever plays it. And Electra, we got Electra. And what if decks can't play Electra? Cool, just play this. Like, done. It's completed. Yeah.
Yep. GG. Well played.
Dark Tree can exist forever now. It's fine. We have this. I don't want all the marvels in the game to be game-breaking must-haves. Robert, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%. Like, I think it's a interesting card. It's kind of weird. I honestly am probably going to put a single copy of it in the cube because I honestly think that has some cool applications in the cube.
You could put the witch in the cube and put the cube in the cube. Put the witch in the cube in the cube.
The cube witch in the cube. Cube tribal. Woo.
Cube tribal. Let's go.
Number 9, it was spoiled. It says bye-bye to Electra when we get this ban list. I don't think Electra's going to get banned because we have this card. Absolutely not. I think Electra's just fine. I have no reason to see Electra get banned, personally. Tap expel to 3 cards stacked below this card. If you do, this card deals 400 damage to target player, or expel a fire resonator to deal 600 damage to a J/resonator.
These numbers feel like they should be swapped. Why is it 600 on the fire resonator and like 400 on literally remove Trinity?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Am I weird for that? Like, that's weird to me.
Listen, the main important card of this text of this card is the first line, and it does just enough with that.
Yes.
Everything else.
And also, very importantly, yes, if you find this hot, you are in fact a furry. Just
not
flat out.
okay.
No
moving on.
denial.
Witch of the Tower, number 12. Players cannot perform foresee effects. Sure.
That's the hate I needed. Yep. That's what exactly what I was looking for.
Does exploration, does everything else. Water resonator to target non-magic stone, non-J-roller entity. Its controller expels it. She has the best tap ability. like Regalia or Additions, get it out of here, right? Expel 3, stack below this card. Target non-chance spell with 2 cost or less. Its controller expels it. The 4 sea stones.
Cool.
Yeah, this is good against the 4 sea stones. You just can't even perform them. It's
Don't
more
think
because we
about
have
it.
more damage prevented. So many people complaining about Electra. I don't even like. If anything, the only thing that would need to happen to Electra to me is just combo banner with Priscia, Seeker of Friends, and even then, I'm actually I don't care. There's so few decks running Priscia, Seeker of Friends right now. It's like 2, and you make those decks worse by hitting some other cards that we'll talk about that are coming off that are
Versus
probably going to
the
be
worst card in that.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's just kind of she's just kind of there. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man.
And this card hoses her. Prevents the 4C on the big
you're
show.
you're just paying a green to do nothing. Yep.
It's crazy.
Okay.
This card's cracked.
We're moving on.
Next.
We have Leica. we got a lot to get through. I know. We got Leica. It's gonna be probably a 2-hour episode. Players cannot chase spells named Therion Morphing, which is different than making it uncancelable, I think, or untouchable. So you just can't chase it. Resonators with Aradia in their name, game untouchable in all zones as long as your life is higher than your opponent's. Resonator spells with Aradia in their name, or or abilities of Resonators with Aradia in their name cannot be canceled or whatever. This is just instead of making any Fire Beast, it's just specifically Aradia stuff, which I think is important. Remove a Beast card in your graveyard from the game, deals 200 damage to target J/Resonator, and each player with the highest life play this ability only once per turn. Judgment, pay red, discard a card named Therion Morphing. She turns into, on the side where she can actually perform Judgment, we have Leica, the Beast form, calling Magic Stone does not cause this card to rest. Fire Beast Resonators you control gain Barrier and Untouchable in all zones, as long as your life is higher than your opponent's. Enter Beast Resonators you control gain +2/+2 and Swiftness until end of turn. And you can remove a Beast card to do the same kind of pinging effect. I like the rework to make her not as cracked with making all of her Fire Beasts untouchable. I didn't want untouchable Magnus Guardian Beasts, please and thank you. I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So A+. We did see, speaking of her beast, we're going to go through her beast forms specifically. We have Rabbit of Aradia, one red beast rabbit Aradia. As you play this card, if you control a Lycanthrope J Ruler, you may discard a beast card. If you do, which then you can remove from the graveyard to ping your opponent. If you do, you pay 1 red less to play this card, and this card gains it enters the field rested until end of turn. Enter, reveal the top 3 of your deck, put a Beast Resonator from among them into your hand, rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. When this card in your graveyard is removed from the game, if you control a Lycanthrope, J/Werewolf, whatever, you may put target non-rabbit Beast Resonator total cost 2 or less from your removed area into your hand. So like the beast that you removed to ping your opponent off of her ability then gets to then come back and recycle your hand. Like, interestingly enough. And what we know from Therion Morphing is that these Resonators are going to want to be into the field so that you can shift into the Leica morphed version of it off of Therion Morphing and stuff. So Leica Rabbit Morphed 4/8 Swiftness. Calling a Magic Stone doesn't cause it to rest. Enter, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put a Fire Beast Resonator total cost 3 or less from among them into the field. That can be Guardian Beast, or the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Whenever she is targeted by a spell or ability your opponent controls, you may remove the Beast Resonator in your graveyard from the game. If you do, search your deck for a card that shares a name with the card removed this way, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This ability only triggers once per turn. So she has the way to like keep shifting even after she's killed, which I think is the important thing, and probably will show us in the CR that Transcend doesn't cause her to become astral if destroyed. It's probably true.
Words.
Lot of text here.
So many words.
So many words. Let's talk about her other forms. Bird is a good old bird. Bird has flying, has wings, is a bird, has flying. Woo! We did it.
What?
There's a beast and a bird.
When this card is discarded, if you control a Lycanthrope, you may put this card from your graveyard into the field. So if you discard it to Rabbit, suddenly Rabbit and Bird come into field. When this card in your graveyard is removed from the game, draw a card, then discard a card. A little cycle, a little 1/2 body cycle, not too bad. And then shifts into like a bird morphed, 7/7 with flying. Calling a Magic Stone doesn't cause her to rest. Remove a beast in your hand from the game. If you do, draw a card, and Beast Resonators you control gain flying until end of turn. Whenever this card becomes rested, remove a card in your hand from the game. If you do, draw a card.
You know something crazy I just realized?
Yes.
This is the first bird we've had in like years. See, we actually have more targets for the bird catcher from Grim Cluster. Isn't that crazy? And we
Bird catcher! Bird catcher!
I don't even know what you're talking about. That's
It's a really old card. It's okay. Next up, we have Bear of Aradia. 3-cost Bear. Belligerence, 8/8. You pay 1 red less to play this card if you control 3 or more Beast J/Resonators and a Lycanthrope J/Ruler or Werebeast Ruler. So it comes a 2-drop. Whenever this card deals damage to a player or J/Resonator, you can reanimate a 2-drop Beast Resonator, 2-drop or less from your graveyard into the field rested. And when it's put into the graveyard, when it's removed from the game from the graveyard, it deals 800 damage to up to 1 target J/Resonator.
600.
Yep,
Close
600.
Mhm.
Tiny numbers. And then we get the final form of Leica, which is
Bear.
Bear Morphed. Belligerence. 1313 doesn't cause it to rest. Enter. This card deals 600 damage to target player or J/Resonator. Beast Resonators you control gain Belligerence until end of turn. Whenever this card deals damage to a player or J/Resonator, put target Beast Resonator total cost 2 or less from your graveyard or removed area into the field. If you do, it gains Belligerence. So you get to reanimate something when her enter effect resolves. Pretty neat. And then when it attacks something, you can reanimate something else.
Playing against this card is gonna be so unbearable.
Hey, Charlotte's Bear Magic.
Hey, the only other bear in the game.
The only other bear in the game. Let's go.
Let's
When
go.
blue plays bear magic,
Wait a minute.
you become
Wait a
bear.
minute.
But if
Wait a
red
minute.
plays bear magic, you become bear.
No, wait, hang on. Let's get real spicy here. What we're gonna do.
Mamu, did you
We're
confirm
gonna-
that belligerents can only attack tapped resonators if they don't have precision? Correct. You have to be able to attack a legal attack target.
Okay. So we're gonna target a fire beast we control.
Okay.
We're gonna bear magic it.
Okay.
So now Leica can Therion morphing into the bear form off of any beast, fire beast resonator.
I think it also has to have 2 races.
I can't read probably.
Let's talk about Therion morphing, because I have the text here.
Hey,
If you're 2 or more races with target fire beast resonator you control.
Yeah, reveal a Beast J Resonator you control from outside the game, or J Ruler you control that shares 2 or more races with target Fire Beast Resonator you control. Transcend the chosen Fire Beast and the revealed J Ruler with a Lycanthrope J Ruler you control. Stack the revealed J Ruler above the Lycanthrope J Ruler and the Beast below your Lycanthrope J Ruler. Make a sandwich. Put them into the field. You can only play 1 Transcend process per turn. This is not Judgment as far as we can tell. It doesn't replace, like it doesn't currently. We're still waiting to see if you can Transcend and Judgment in the same turn, because if you can, that's going to be a lot of Leica's power, especially when you look into cards like Liberation of the Fires, because of how much she deals with the RFG area. She can Transcend, do something, RFG some cards, liberate from the fires, kill herself, kill one of your own things, then perform Judgment and keep going. Something to keep in mind. Whenever a Beast ruler you control is destroyed, put this card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. Yes, this is just Ixie summoning in Fow. We're just playing Ixies now, boys.
can we shocklock somebody? Let's go.
Fow, encouraging
Smart
people
of
to
them.
read tons of small text for years. At least our cards aren't Yu-Gi-Oh sized.
Ooh. Imagine. To be fair though, like I don't think I really want to read text when the word quiver is in this flavor text.
Got a quiver.
Like I'm good. I'm good, dude. I'm fine.
That's fine. I think this
You have something
is...
against arrows, Mike.
Nick should be synchro summoning. No, thank you.
We already have that. It's literally Fox.
That's true. Fox is technically synchro summoning, in a sense.
Synchro what?
Communication with animals. Lycanthrope chant will reveal a Beast J Ruler you own from outside the game until end of turn.
Sorry, Jeremy, we keeping you up.
It's late. If you do, shuffle your deck, search your deck for a resonator that shares 2 or more races revealed this way and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And you can remove a card in your graveyard to this card in your graveyard from the game. Produce red. Spend this will only to play Lycanthrope spells or beast spells. Play this ability only if you control a Lycanthrope J Ruler. The main takeaway from me from the entirety of this Leica package is that she is going, if you play like pure Leica, she is going to function smoothly. Like they did a very good job of like that you are going to be able to go into the beast option form that you want very consistently if you're playing a like pure Lycanthrope build, which I think is very, very cool. And I think will be very, very fun. Now, obviously tech slots will then, play into it, but the core of this deck feels like it is going to function very smoothly, which as much as, but also in that smoothness, Like, there hasn't been anything that Leica is presenting to me that, like, has me genuinely, like, concerned. Like, she feels like she's going to be a good red deck, but not like a too good, scary red deck. We talked before when Leica was spoiled about Fow has always had a hard time walking the line of aggressive decks being too bursty versus too slow. And now that we've seen more of her stuff, I genuinely feel like they have hit a really solid line. Like, they have hit the mark really, really well with Leica, where she's not too bursty to the fact where she's going to be unfair or kill you too fast, but she is going to be a faster deck so that aggro players have some game rather than just, I have to try to OTK you on turn 1 or the control deck kills me every time. You know what I mean? And that feels nice.
Leica apparently is also now, from what I can tell, patron saint for weebs playing this game, because the word kawaii shows up on this card's flavor
It's
text
true.
3
It's
times.
true.
So if you're a fucking nerd, you're gonna love this card.
And then we have her Marvel Rare. It's the last card here. And then, Paul, I want to get your thoughts about Leica as a whole. Knight of Transcendence. 1 plus X. Enter, put X target beast resonators with total combined cost X or less with Aradia in their name from your removed area into the field. Tap, choose 1. Perform the transcending process. So it's just like, it's just Therion morphing as a tap ability. Or target beast J/resonator or where beast J/resonator you control gets plus 200 attack and swiftness until end of turn. So this is how Leica is going to be getting her swiftness on all of her transformed forms. And this is also a lycanthrope spell. So keep in mind that you'll be able to use the things like talking with the animals to be able to help you pay this to get it out quickly. It's pretty cool. The artwork on this is sick. I'm kind of looking at this as this might be the next quarter circuit kit if I'm looking at this artwork. It's really kind of sick. And we do need to do a red ruler, right? I'm trying to give a little bit of love to every color. This artwork I think would look absolutely insanely cool as a playmat. So like maybe this is the next
100%.
quarter circuit.
I don't know. Red Bear seems pretty good too.
Yeah, maybe
It
that
took
too.
my eyes.
Oh lordy, coming.
Oh yeah, just like the base rare red bear. Yeah. That's gonna be. I'm gonna print. That's gonna be the salt prize. That'll be the 9th place for FalFest 2025. Will be a one of a kind that bear mat, and it'll say, "Oh
Never
Lord,
wanted to bubble so bad in my life.
oh Lord, he coming."
Big chunkus.
That's it.
Leica seems very fair. Looking at this, it definitely seems like there's like just breaking down the construction of the deck itself. It seems like there's a lot of room to like toss other things in, like generic good spells or
Yeah.
even a second color.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to look into this. I'm actually very excited for this ruler now that we've like looked through everything again, because I just realized they're all morphing. So there's like
Yeah.
theming.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Power Rangers. It's morphin'
Power
time.
Rangers, man.
It's morphin' time.
Beast morphers.
Before we get into more cards, I do want to say awesome news that there is going to be a Japan in Akihabara. There's going to be a GP to qualify for Worlds in Japan in July. Ooh. So congrats that we're getting GPs back for the players in Japan. That's awesome. I'm super happy for you guys. Furthering expansion there. So just wanted to make sure we got that information to everybody. And then we also got 2 new promo arts revealed, specifically the Invitation to Purgatory, which looks sick. Very cool looking promo art there, which I like a lot. And honestly, really beautiful artwork for Dexia's Advice. Really, really cool artwork for Dexia's Advice. Just the 2 brothers.
Killer Britain's just going crazy right now over this one.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. This was also, having now seen this artwork, this was also on my thoughts about maybe a circuit kit artwork. I think this one could be cool, but I'm not sold on it yet. The fact that it's at a weird angle means that it like might not cut well into a playmat, so we gotta play against that. But keep in mind that I'm looking. So if people have ideas about what artwork they want to see as the next quarter circuit, we can take a look at that. Okay, so we still got some spoilers left to go. Not a ton, but we got some spoilers left to go. Specifically, we got the cards from Only Foul TCG, Alejandro and his crew. So I'll pull those up now. We have Reflected Blue Moon, 5-cost Moon Edition, Untouchable Mythic Barrier Chant. Resonators editions and regalia that share a name with the named card lose and cannot gain all non-will abilities in all zones. This card gains the following abilities as long as you control the J ruler with Seeker of the Blue Moon, Moon Princess, or Kage in its name. If an effect would increase the attack or defense of J resonator your opponent controls, decreases that much instead, which is insanely relevant in a world of Eternal. Play 1 blue to play this card from your standby area without paying its cost. That's the kind of stealth trigger that we've kind of seen come back from Pilgrim Memories. And enter, name a non-J ruler card to be referenced by other abilities of this card until the end of game. Draw a card. So you can just be like, hey, call Electra. Okay, nice vanilla 1616.
That still is pretty nice, but yeah.
Yeah, but like, or call Prisia, or call an addition that's crazy, or like, So here's an interesting question to me. Legitimately. It says resonators. Oh, never mind. I answered my question immediately. I was going to say, could this be used to mess with sub-rulers? But then it specifies that it only actually impacts resonators, additions, and regalia that share a name. It can't. So even though I could name a sub-ruler card because it's not a J-ruler, it wouldn't do anything. So there's a thing. This card's really good. This card's just like really, really good. As a seer player, I'm very happy about this card. I think it's great.
Kind of cool that it's kind of worming its way into Toth of the Trinity, though.
Yeah, that's interesting to me too. Can we talk about that for a second? Like, this is another Grim card in Thoth of the Trinity. Are we gonna just see like a sprinkling of more Grim support and more like other cluster support scattered into new sets moving forward? Because I'm here for it. That feels like actual Wanderer card design, right? Like that we're actually going to sprinkle in a few cards for like older rulers in every set, which is sick. So.
Or they said that they tried to only design 1 card, ended up designing 3. Oops, actually, I lied. It's actually 4.
5. It's out, yeah. You'd like to name Grim Contract? Yeah. Crimson Moon Fairy Tale? It's a pretty big hoser.
That's a set. That's not a card.
It's also a card.
Dang it.
Next up we have 2 Friends and a Cat. Which is the best card name. Just so good. TFC. Friends of the Cat. TFC negates.
TFC negates.
TFC negates. 1 red, 1 blue. Alchemy Lycanthrope. You pay 1 blue or 1 red less to play this card if you choose only one option. Stack a card from your graveyard face down below a resonator you control. This card deals 600 damage to target J/resonator your opponent controls. If you destroy it this way, damage cannot be prevented until end of turn, and the card deals 600 damage, X 100 damage to your opponent, where X is the defense of the J/resonator destroyed this way. Until the end of the next turn, if a card would be moved from end of the next turn, this is incredibly relevant. If a card would be moved from a hand, deck, or graveyard or removed area to any other zones of those 4 zones without being drawn, its controller expels it instead, and you draw a card. Oh, do you want it to search? Nah, fam. Get rid of it. Oh, did you want to try to, it doesn't stop cheating in because it doesn't affect the field. But like, oh, did you want to try to solarize something? Are you a Solaria deck? Did you just cast, like against Solaria? Oh, did you cast Excavation of a Legacy just now? Cool. This card.
Nope. Oh, did you horn? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
bud.
sorry. Your deck is gone. Your deck is no longer in. Can you imagine casting this card in response to Solaria? Just like,
wait a minute. If you cast this card in response to hitting tree, doesn't like all of those cards that get removed just get expelled instead?
also true.
Yeah,
Also
that's
true.
kinda cute. Literally Alejandro posting it right there. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
2-drop blue chant.
Yeah, it's a 2-drop blue chant that you can play for 1. So it's a path. It's a path we part all over again. Freaking love it.
Yeah, but this time it's got the gal pals on it.
And-
just friends.
And
Just
a cat.
friends.
And a cat. And a cat.
And a cat.
And a cat.
Which I don't know what's going on with his eyes, but let's just take a minute. This cat is adorable.
The cat's the third. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I do want to point out that this card has like Fossil Girl in the City level meta implications, and it's a super rare. Incoming $15 to $20 super rare full art. I don't think that's a stretch. Full art Fossil Girls currently go for like 8 to 10. This card I think easily goes from 15 to 20.
Ooh. Well,
No.
Promo.
Make this. I would like this to be myself and Paul, and Mike could be the cat as a ruler school promo. Please and thank you.
Oh, I'm so
Hold
down.
on.
Actually,
Why does he get to be the cat?
Do you want to be the cat, Paul?
Yeah, I want to be the cat.
That's fine. 2 girls. Let's start a petition right now to do a ruler school 2 friends and a cat promo card, please. I Spy, you listening? Rio, you listening? I'd take that.
Make Paul the cat. Rio. Paul's
Wait,
the cat.
Jeremy, which one of us gets to be?
No, I think it would just be you and me because it doesn't specifically say in the name of the card that it doesn't. It just references 2 friends and a cat. So we can just be us.
True.
It can just be us.
And I feel like it's
Does
just gonna be a
imply
cat,
the
but
cat
just like
is not a
with Paul's
friend?
head.
Yeah, it's just a cat with Paul's head. This card's very good. I think this card is very, very good.
Yeah.
Absolutely is going to see meta play for a very long time.
This and Mirror are my favorite cards in the set.
That's fair. That's very fair. I'm trying to find our next ones. Doesn't look like they saved, which is unfortunate. We do have another card that's going to have massive meta impacts. Another 12 Sacred Knights. This is Hydria. New 12 Sacred Knight as I try to have XSplit behave itself and show the card in a very large fashion. Thank you.
Good luck.
Hydria!
God.
Two blue human, 12 Sacred Knights, quick cast, enter, remove target magic, does the flicker thing, Resonator, Resonance, Water Magic Stone, 4C1, draw a card. God's Art, reveal this card from your hand. Players cannot draw more than 1 card per turn until the end of the game.
I love "fuck you" the card.
It is both players, right? But imagine but imagine being like a water ruler and just being like, coin this. Let's just start the game there, please.
Patrick, it's a 2-drop water resonator.
Hydria is another card that's needed, but a lot of complaining I've seen. I think this card is fine. I think this card is just fine. Because it's omnidirectional, because it's until the end of the game, like we've seen more and more and more that the cards that start to get too strong are because they are coupled with massively good draw power engines, right? That like the natural advantage of draw power engines is what we're tending to see be the things that are dominating. But there are decks, like for instance, I'll take into account my own thing. My Seer Abdul deck that I play legitimately I think is very, very strong. The only thing that I find myself struggling against is decks that draw more cards than me. Like I'm not playing a green package. Shunpo's in the chat. Shunpo and I can talk can also like a test. When we play, if we're like net card neutral, Seer Abdul puts in a lot of work. But as soon as I start to get into against decks that just like there's no way for me to outpace your card draw, I'm gonna struggle, right? And so something like this, to be able to give decks that don't need card draw to be good but struggle when drowned in card advantage a place to play in the environment, I think is good. I think is good for health, because there are plenty of decks that genuinely don't care about the fact that they only get to draw one card per turn. Like, they will be just fine without drawing more than one card per turn. And so those decks can be explored more when the threat of Hydria exists in the environment. Shunpo's helping me out. Even with Mirror, Min. Like, Shunpo and I have play tested some games with Mirror. And like the thing that even with Mirror I struggle against is when the other deck draws a million cards. Because then my Mirror can only answer one thing, right? And so I'm not actively, effectively reaching a point where I'm actually controlling. I just eventually get run over. I'm just stalling the game out at that point. Where if I stop the draw power, then suddenly what I'm doing makes a lot better sense. So Seer decks are going to win the 1-for-1 but lose against the advantage engines. Yeah, for sure. And so then when you give Seer decks, a slower Seer deck, the ability to say, like, I just don't have to struggle so hard against the advantage because of a pure card draw, then suddenly non-green based Seer decks have a lot more sustainability, right? This is a really good card. I like it a lot. Paul, thoughts?
I mean, I think this is just a really good anti-maxi.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it hits both players. Like,
appreciate anti-maxi.
Because it's both players and it's until the end of the game, right? It actually does like impact play lines and how you deck build and everything else. And I think that's really nice.
Yeah. And you can still lore write it. There's other ways to stop activate abilities. Mirror can stop it.
Yep.
So I mean, there's definitely counterplay to this, but it basically says like, I am going to be generating like board presence now.
Yeah, for sure. It also just naturally takes some of the oomph away from cancel decks, because if everything you control is cancels, right? But we're both each drawing one card per turn, eventually you're going to run out of cancels. And if everything you have is cancels, you're sure not advancing board state. You know what I mean? So I think it's very good. It's also stop this.
I do have to head out, actually.
Bye. Bye, buddy.
Later, everyone.
Bye, Mike.
Let's shift this here real quick.
Gift.
To be you and I. I knew we were going to go long tonight, which is fair. We have so much to talk about. We're getting there, though. We're trying to burn through this as fast as possible. Next up, we have Synthetic Spirit. Number 4. If this card would be stacked below any card face down, you can stack it face up instead. It grants the following abilities as long as you control a Witch J/Ruler to the thing that it's stacked underneath, or it has the abilities if you have a J/Ruler. A form of Transcend the Stars, essentially. Enter, search your deck for a Resonator with Synthetic Spirit in its name, reveal and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Alchemical Research, put an Elemental Spirit from your graveyard into your item area, produce 1 blue. Spend this will only to play Elemental Spirit cards, and you can only use 1 Alchemical Research ability per turn. Thank you. Thank you for having named abilities that will be very clearly on multiple different cards, hard limited to once per turn. Same with card Call of the Monarch, right? It's like one step below a God Art because it's not a God Art, but it's still functions similarly to like a hard once per turn. It's just really nice. Combo decks get hurt, which makes you sad. You're fine. Listen here, you Pandora player. Synthetic Spirits are cool. I look forward to seeing what the rest of them look like. That's all I have to say about that. And
talk about Lucy.
Let me double check with spoilers. Yes, we do get to talk about Lucy. We're caught up at this point. We have Lucy finalized text. Lucy the Synthetic Alchemist. Elemental Spirit Resonators you control cannot attack or block. Your opponent's J/Resonators gain precision and cannot attack your opponent as long as they control a Resonator with Synthetic Spirit in its name. Judgment for 0, only if there are 5 or more Resonators with Synthetic Spirit in their name and with different names. So you control 5 different Synthetic Spirits in your item area. You get to Judgment. Flips over into Lucy the Witch. The Witch. 7/10 Imperishable Barrier. Put an Elemental Spirit from your item area in the bottom of the deck to put a Elemental Spirit from your graveyard into the field. Play this ability only once per turn. Put 2 back to target a spell and make it be expelled. Only once per turn. Put 3 back to put up to 5 Elemental Spirit Resonators with different names from your item area or graveyard into the field. So if you really build up your item area pretty heavily, you can throw out a bunch of spirits all at once. And she's based at 7/10.
You'll notice that when she flips into her J ruler, now your synthetic spirits can attack and block.
Yes. Shinpo, keep in mind, you're giving the ability to not be able to attack your opponent to your opponent's stuff. So your opponent's stuff can't attack you, the Lucy player, if you have a synthetic spirit. That's the important distinction.
To break my alchemical vials.
Yeah. So she builds a natural wall just by throwing out little dudes. And she gets one of the 2 sub-rulers, which is Test Tube of Spirits. Has aid for her. Elemental Spirit Resonators you control gain +X as long as you control a Witch J ruler. So like when she flips. Where X is the number of different attributes among Elemental Spirit cards you control in your all public zones. And you can tap to put an Elemental Spirit Resonator of total cost 2 or less from your hand into the field. And you can discard an Elemental Spirit to reveal the top 2 cards and put a Spirit card from among them into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Play this ability once per turn. It's the IU ability. The IU Extension Ruler ability for Lucy. This is a very good sub-ruler for Lucy. Like, very, 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 very good. Keep in mind that the cheat-in has to be specifically an Elemental Spirit Resonator. So that's very important. But it does mean that when she's naturally calling stones, like she's going to still be able to play into the game a little bit, even though she was only a singleton ruler. And it does mean that the 2-drop or the 1-drop anti-cheat-in spirit will not affect Lucy in any way, shape, or form because her entire kit is probably going to be spirits. So, pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this ruler. She's probably my favorite going into this.
Oh, total cost 2. Specifically total cost 2. Apologize. It is total cost 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably my most anticipated ruler just because I'm very curious as to what the alchemy system is going to be for her. Very fascinating.
I like it. Okay.
Right.
Spoilers complete. That's not even true. We have 3 more cards that are to show. Let's talk about those really quick. These are the box toppers for the new set. We have the tree, which I'm not going to talk about right now because I can't read it. Because of again XSplit. Clockwork Magic Furnace actually getting a text. Actually getting pre-printed as a box topper. Here, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. We're going to crop from the left so then I can do this, and then I can make these 2 bigger so that these are bigger so we can read them. There we go. Aradia, Heaven of something. 1 green gains Yggdrasil Forest of Fossils, or Forgotten Forest of Fossils in addition to its other names. Has Mythic. Enter, or whenever a Resonator enters the field from your removed area, draw a card, discard a card. This ability triggers only once per turn. Tap to choose 1. Until end of turn, Resonators you control that have Time Will in their attribute cost gain Remnant. So you give Remnant to stuff from your graveyard. And until end of turn, your opponent cannot, cancel spells if you control with Remnant. So your Remnant stuff will get to resolve. Which I think is neat. Wants me very curious.
Definitely a Hanada buff card.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what we're going to see with the rest of the time will.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid ABC ruler. I don't think it's not an arcana. It's just a draft ruler. It's a basic ruler. Minha, I'm sorry. Time is now an attribute of will? No. We just happen to have dedicated requirements of cost of time in some cards, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yggdrasil. Now we have another 12 Sacred Knights, 1 blue, 1 black, untouchable, mythic, barrier, total cost 1 or less. Card gains the following abilities if you don't already control another copy of him, which makes sense because mythic, and they don't want to let you proc that enter effect again. Enter. Remove target non-12 Sacred Knights, non-Magic Stone, non-J-Roller entity your opponent controls and expel it. And tap target J/Resonator gains -6/6 until end of turn. Goddard, Void of the 12, Sacred Knights, 1 void cost. Target addition or regalia your opponent controls expels it. Then you search for every single copy of that card everywhere for your opponent and expel those as well. This card is cracked.
It can also block while rested.
It also can block while rested. So it can stat neg something and then block it. Seer Abdul. It's just going to just play 4 of this card. What is Furcus? What is Furcus? We're just getting rid of Furcus completely, and we're just playing this card instead. Card is so good.
This is a 2-drop water resonator.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This card is insanely good. Card is insanely good.
This is the most Olivia support I've ever seen. It's great.
Yeah, choose Grimm's Regalia and yeet it. Just get out. Get out. Yeah, this card is insanely good. Crazy.
And it's a box topper, so you're gonna get it.
Yeah, 4 of it. You and I are gonna have like 1 million copies of this card. But yes, it's a box topper. Olivia intensifies. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're done talking about spoilers. Now we can talk about the fact that over the course of today, we had a video released from Rio talking about Memoria Collection for Loth of the Trinity, Memoria Pack 4. And it had a grand total of a bunch of erratas of cards coming off the ban list. It had 6 regular cards, 3 rulers. And then it also told us how the Memoria Collection pack is going to have a grand total of 9 cards or 10 cards per pack for Memoria pack. Where's my little details here? It's going to be 3 random of the champion cards. You get 3 of those. You get 1 of each of the 6 main deck errata cards, and then 1 errata ruler per of the 3 options per Memoria pack. This is a box topper. So let's talk about the errata cards. First up, Warhorse. Now Let's Ride is only usable when you're searching your deck. If you control 1 or more 12 Sacred Knights resonators, it's not just whenever you search your deck. You have to pay the cost of Warhorse, and you can only do this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. So you can't do it during your opponent's turn. Enter a 12 Sacred Knights resonator you control gains swiftness until the end of turn. And when it's sent to the graveyard from the field, you gain 500 life. Great. This is probably what Warhorse should have been from day one. Like
Tribal deck
thing, as opposed to what is this insanely broken 1-drop that anyone can use who can search decks. Great. Totally fine with that. Well done. Next up we had Severing Winds. Severing Winds coming off the ban list here. Yeah, what? Severing Winds coming off the ban list now has still 4 cost, only discounts down to 1 green now instead of free, and only starting at the 3rd spell, not after 2 spells. And if you control a Wanderer J/Ruler, when you get to that 3 spell threshold, you can expel a wind card from your hand instead of paying the cost. So it becomes like a mini conflict, essentially, for Wanderer J/Resonate rulers. Totally fine. I think that's great. If conflict gets banned, I think this card is an excellent sideboard slottable card that fills a kind of similar niche and in a much more fair way. I think this is great.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good RR card.
It is a very good Reflect Refrain card. I love this card. Got to pull out my GP Severing Winds for these.
There you go.
Next up, we have, and now if it can expel a certain green machine dragon we all love, Drywing. Demonic Dead now pays 500 only once per turn during your turn, and you pay 500 life to be granted the ability to play this card from your graveyard. So you still have to pay the full cost for Demonic Dead. It's fine. This one actually has some pretty big implications for ABC format, which I think is overall healthier, but interesting nonetheless to see that card come back. Great Wall went from being unplayable to being unplayable, despite an errata coming off the ban list. Gains the following abilities only as you control 2 or more Sacred Knights Resonators, J/Resonators. Works really well. I guess that's not entirely true. It works really well with Rumsfeld. Right, like Rumsfeld then will protect the other 12 Sacred Knights, which will then keep this card online very hard. You, the player, gain barrier, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. If 900 or more damage was prevented this ability this turn, you expel this card, and on enter, you draw a card. So the answer effect is almost never going to resolve unless you're casting a second copy of it, which is fine after the first one dies. Very much leaning into 12 Sacred Knights tribal with this, which means Rumsfeld's coming back in a pretty big way to have to play this card. There's a world where Aristella 12 Sacred Knights totally becomes a thing. Maybe not necessarily competitive, but like for fun. And then you're probably playing this card because Aristella could cheat it in at the beginning of the game and then turn it on within very quickly. So that's something to note. Overall, nothing too crazy there. Sealed One-Eyed Dragon coming back. Precision Bane Inheritance. You have to actually pay will for it now. It's pay red, pay 400 life, and this card deals 200 damage to you and 600 damage to target player /J/Resonator. So it's the same amount of like you paid 600, deal 600, but now it also costs a will, and it's also damage and life loss. Right? Interesting. And then it has the same thing of pay 1 black to pay 400 life. This card deals 200 damage to you, and you draw a card. So it's the same kind of thing. Pay a black, pay 600, cycle, draw a card. And then it has the same thing of pay 1 red, 1 black. Play this ability only if this card is in your graveyard and dealt damage to you by a source you control this turn. You can put this card from your graveyard into the field. It gains belligerence until the end of turn. At the next end of turn, you banish it. So instead of being able to do swiftness and go in for lethal, you swing it for it. It's also like because the damage has to deal damage to you, this does mean that there are worlds where you can use this for its inheritance effect and then immediately reanimate it because it has technically dealt damage to you when it's a source you control. Pretty fine way to bring Sealed One-Eyed Dragon back in a much more fair, understandable way.
Still very playable. Still a dodgy target.
And also a great anti-Electra card. Ironic.
You want to expand on that?
Sure. So Electra says if you've been dealt damage, any player that's been dealt damage by this card can't cast spells, and any Resonator that's been dealt damage by this card can't attack or block. So you can pitch Sealed One-Eyed Dragon to like when you've been hit, pitch Sealed One-Eyed Dragon to grave to do something, and then reanimate it through an activate ability, and then block with it. Because you've dodged all the timing windows for Electra. We have other ways to mess with Electra, but it's very funny to me that Sealed One-Eyed Dragon is like a good Electra answer because they're the same card. They're the same person.
The irony.
Now works with Null Magic Stone instead of Moonshade. That's also true, right? You have to use Null Magic Stone because it's actually pinging you as opposed to ping life. You cannot reanimate him back. Why? When you do not do the damage on your own? Yeah, but his inheritance ability deals damage to you.
A4, this card deals 200 to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can totally do the reanimate effect.
Yeah. Sealed Wood-Eye Dragon perfectly sets up for a 3-will discard from hand reanimate. Yeah.
Also a nice will sync.
Yeah, we did it.
Good stuff.
Lastly, we got, for Resonators, we got Engineer of Eternal. No longer has Mastery. Instead now has Quick Cast. That's the only change. Although I do think it says it goes to your hand instead of getting bought back from graveyard as well. I do believe the previous one was if it's sent to graveyard, put it into your hands. But now it goes to your hand instead of going anywhere into the graveyard. I think that's the only change to Engineer of Eternal, which makes it like a 2 of in some edition heavy focus decks. Seer that like to have additions that they want to banish.
No, it's the same text.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the same text.
Okay.
Just Sans Mastery Edition.
Oh, so it's just swapped Mastery for Quickest.
That's fine.
Which is fine with me. Next up we have My List coming off the ban list. No longer has the ability of at the beginning of your first main phase produce an extra red. He now has a God's Art instead of pay 0, produce enough will to perform his judgment. Play this ability. You can only use this will to play the judgment process of a fire ruler, and play this ability only if you control a J ruler named Moojdart. Essentially, if you flipped Moojdart, My List becomes potentially free. Totally fine. Totally fine. I think that's absolutely a fine way to bring My List back. It's very in theme. Then we have Feathsing. After you mulligan, you may shuffle your hand into your deck and draw X cards, where X is the number of cards shuffled back into your deck this way, -1. So, was your mulligan still bad? Try a random and see if you can draw something better. Pairing that with Moojdart seems very good. And you can, now the tap to produce extra will for a chance is only available if your partner 6-Sage ruler is judgmented, which I think is, again, a very fair way to make that effect happen.
Totally fine. And
then Carlene is back and bad, so we're not going to talk about her. They brought her back and then sat her at the kids' table and said, "Don't ever leave." Just bad.
We're going to take all your teeth except one.
And then give you the most burnt steaks we can possibly make, so that it's very hard for you to eat.
We were talking about this a little bit in our own just like chat, and I think there's a potential world in which Carlina and Astema work together, because Astema can produce will in addition to Carlina. That's a thing you can do.
That's a thing you can do.
That is a choice you can make.
Yeah. Her tap ability now only pays for spells with Carlina in its name instead of for anything. And only, no.
Don't tell me there's 4. There is only 3.
There you go. Overall, the erratas are very cool. The fact that they're doing it, I get that there's some irritation about like more erratas coming, but I'll just print new cards that have the same kind of effect. But like, I guess I just don't share the intensity of that opinion, but I get the people that can be irritated by it. So like, I'm not gonna denounce it. I just say that I don't have the same level of irritation with it. And I like some of these cards coming back. Like, I honestly think that Engineer of Eternal is pretty solid. A card that Shunpo and I were talking about this earlier. Like, in Seer decks, it's a great will sync. Pay 2, flash it into the end of your opponent's turn. You probably have 2 additions, so it's probably going to draw you a card. Target, Fleeting Moon Jewel, use Fleeting Moon Jewel to produce some will, and then put it right back in your hand, and then next turn recast it. That seems fine to me as a play line for seer decks, right? Warhorse, probably not that great. We talked about Sealed One-Eyed Dragon having some potential applications as a will sink. Like, these are cool ways to bring these cards back.
Mm-hmm. I'll continue to say that we've only had Wanderer for a year and a half. And I know that seems like a long time.
Has it only been a year and a half?
6 sets. Right?
I guess the
7
beginning
sets?
of Hero Cluster was the true transition to full Wanderer with set design in mind. Yeah.
So like it's not been that long.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with the Erratas coming in and like teaching them like, oh hey, we need to do these design things now, which I think we're starting to see in Thought of the Trinity. Like it seems like they've implemented some of those lessons already into that creative space.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm excited about it. The idea of like build it. We saw Almeria's 0 take third at a GP, so the world of like Almeria's Feasting or like Feasting Moodstart suddenly coming back, like Feasting Moodstart, by the way, would still get to play Welser the Six Sage, which is just Persephone, like.
Yeah.
Here's
another answer to Electra. Here you go.
Yeah. Curious how they're gonna Errata Gruce Ballista. Yeah, that's interesting. Robert, great. I'm happy for you, bud. I'm glad that Moodstart and Milas get to come back and have a good time together. I think that's great.
So I get my burn deck back.
I don't play burn.
I know.
Anyway,
folks,
that's it for us for tonight. Long discussion. Next week will not be so long. We have an IU deck profile coming up later this week from Paul. We're going to try to get a feature match recorded for you guys next week with Scarlet. We got some cool stuff coming down the pike as we get ready for Thought of the Trinity. And lots of cool stuff coming. So thank you all so much for being here. And as always, this has been myself, Demo73, and I've been joined by Paul Reisman.
And Mike Rance.
Who was here and now is gone. Class dismissed.